So KiteEdge is a knowledge and analytics business, and we're lucky enough to be supported by the investment and academic research of Stanford University professors. So I thought I'd start with a nice stat, which is at the turn of the century, knowledge was doubling, as in human knowledge, every 50 years. Now we're forecast for knowledge to double every 12 hours, which is a frightening thought. And I guess no surprise then that the business and intelligence market is forecast to reach $147 billion. Helping, in this case, our key exec, our professional here, trying to extract some kind of insight from all that content to help them do their job more effectively. And it's a difficult thing to do. Our key professional here has access to over 45 platforms and portals and websites. If she can remember her password, then when she gets onto these sites, then she's confronted by many types of technology, often which the search and alerting systems haven't changed since the late 90s. So we solve this problem. And we do so by providing central access to all written content. So it doesn't matter whether that content is free, whether it's premium, whether it's external to the organization or internal. If it has words in it, we put it in a single place. And then we do a number of things. First of all, the challenge is how do you get all that content in there? And how do you convert difficult document formats like PDF? We do that using AI. And then how do you help people get access to the right content to help them? They might be young, they might be old, they might be technical, they might be non-technical. And we've solved those problems. So we're starting with the asset management industry for a few well-documented reasons. Which is that, active asset managers in particular are under a lot of pressure. Since 2007, over $3 trillion worth of capital has moved from active strategies to passive strategies. And that's putting a huge pressure on the active asset managers to justify their fees. And of course, we've had significant financial regulations for those of you familiar with MiFID II, $20 billion investment research market. And that's just needed to be completely restructured. So, if we look at the asset management industry in particular, then traditionally banks and asset managers would work with around 100 banks or brokers. Post-MiFID II, that's in many cases 30 to 40. And we have all these other types of content on the right there, so whether that's independent research, expert networks, and so on. Now, the big terminal services out there, which everybody has to have, provide access traditionally to the sell-side content. We had over 17 marketplaces that sprung up trying to help people access content, but the banks and brokers wouldn't share their content with them, and they were hoping that we moved to a price per report market, which didn't materialize. We bypass all of that, and we provide access to all this content respecting existing licensing terms. So you may well have two analysts sat side by side running the same report and getting completely different results because one of them is licensed to see a certain number of providers and the other one's not. So people think that this whole search thing's been done. We're all familiar with Google, but Google's, it's an advertising business and it's a popularity engine. It's going to take you to the same content everybody else is looking at. There are many other search platforms, but the majority of them are entirely relying on tags to extract the content. And tags are a problem because if the tag's not applied, the content is simply not surfaced. We take a completely different approach. We use multiple technologies. We use AI, we use ontologies, we use Boolean queries, and we use it to do something quite special. We have an additive conversation with the end user. And that additive conversation means that the user can build queries that they'd never be able to write themselves that take them to those document subsections. This is just an example of one of the tools that they can use on the platform to help express their intent. Now that's important because we can build a customizable search and knowledge layer that's specific to every organization. So as well as highlighting content that would simply be missed elsewhere, we can also do some special things, one of which is building up knowledge graphs to represent key individuals. So if you like an internal expert network. So as well as returning the document subsections, we can highlight key people within the same organization, maybe in a different office, that might be able to help with a search query that's in place. Now we're well connected within this space. We've been working since 2016, so we're leveraging our personal networks, and that means that we have a significant pipeline as well as two paying customers. Now this is a SaaS model, so people can either subscribe at the enterprise level or on a per head or desk basis, priced at $3,500 to do that. It's a huge opportunity. So we're forecasting over 5 years achieving a revenue of $14.5 million. That's just within capital markets. What's brilliant about this technology is it can be applied in many market sectors and for many reasons. Anywhere with the specialist domain information that's struggling to deal with that volume of content. We're lucky enough to have a very experienced senior management team. I worked in economic research for 7 years, so I used to network with many asset managers. Our chairman, Neil Scarth, was a portfolio manager for 10 years, head of research for 10 years, and runs one of the main regulatory consulting firms out of the UK. And our CTO is an enterprise architect that spent many years in a lot of the banks that we're all familiar with. We're also lucky enough to have an extensive advisory board, so a few people to pick out from on here. We're, as I mentioned, sponsored by Ashby Monk and Dane Rook from Stanford. And also Mar Rajani was head of research aggregation at Bloomberg for over 17 years. So he's a great person to highlight why the big guys struggle to do this and the challenges that they'd face to compete. Recently been through a remarketing exercise, and we're currently raising capital. So we have an active round currently. We're looking for 1.5 million sterling against a 6 million pre-money valuation. So something very unusual has happened this evening, which is I actually have time left on the clock. So either I've been speaking way too quickly, or you know, I've actually done a good job for a change. So once again, I'd like to thank Dan and the team, and it's a pleasure to be up here. Thank you.